Hey there guys, and welcome back to another reaction video. Yay. I think it's been like a week since I did the last one now. Well, anyway, today we'll be reacting to SCP-2315. Mother always knows. Yay.
You can't hide anything from your own mother. Don't believe me? Then try talking to her on SCP-2315. Although...
Well, I don't believe you because technically my mother is dead. Not even kidding.
the voice you'll hear from it may sound like your mother's, it's highly unlikely that voice is hers. SCP-2315 is a standard iPhone 6, without any production serial numbers or any other markings. There are no passwords or locks on the device. At first glance, there's nothing unusual in this device at all. The paranormal phenomena are only activated when a person under 30 years old is alone with the phone in the same room. It's mandatory that the subject's mother be alive at the time. Otherwise, the effect will simply not be as believable. If said requirements are met, then the anomalous phone receives a call. The caller is identified as Mom. If the call's answered, the person will hear SCP-2315-1's voice. All subjects have noted that the voice from the phone sounded exactly like that of their own mothers. Foundation personnel have determined that SCP-2315-1 is located just over half a mile, or within 1 kilometer of the actual biological mother of the person receiving the call. Granted,
fucking ads, really?
It's been impossible to more.
Thanks for the unskippable ad, YouTube.
If the person accepts the incoming call and the conversation continues, the so-called mom will call again about once a day. With each subsequent call, the subject will experience a steadily increasing sense of omnipresent anxiety. The nature of the conversation with the one who poses as the mother also changes from call to call. The first conversation will be the most gentle, without any extreme pressure. The pseudo-mom states that she wishes to be supportive, but generally speaking, disapproval can be sensed in her tonality. In the second phone conversation, the anomalous object with the mother's voice addresses topics of concern for the subject. At the same time, with each instance, the mother's voice becomes more and more aggressive. The third call threatens maximum hostility on the part of the false mother. Paradoxically, this is combined with words of love and a supposed desire to help their son or daughter. The mother's speech at this stage becomes overly emotional. It shit. Strong screams, heartrending cries, as well as the persistent plea for her child to conduct certain actions. The third call is aimed at getting the most out of the victim. It will not end until the victim falls unconscious. Yes, you can save yourself from simply turning off the phone. And it's better to do so as soon as possible, since the fake mother's able to talk for hours on end without shutting up for a single second. Perhaps the most information obtained about the object came during experiments with the subject D-135. His surprise knew no bounds when he entered the experiment room and saw an incoming call from Mom on the iPhone screen. When the guy heard his mother's voice say, "Thomas," he almost burst into tears, at least as far as I know. After all, he had first off not heard his name in quite some time. D-class personnel are called exclusively by their numbers. Second, none of them are allowed to communicate with any relatives or friends, even as part of the experiments. And then suddenly, there was this generosity. However, joy quickly turned to embarrassment. The pseudo-mother, after a few remarks, began to reproach her son. She reminded him of all his mistakes, especially the ones that landed Thomas in jail. He had at one point gotten himself involved with some bad company.
No kidding.
With these characters, Thomas went to the store to rob it. Behind the counter sat an old man who ended up being accidentally killed by the young and inexperienced criminal. After that, Thomas's friends fled the scene of the crime, and he alone was arrested. In response, D-135 reassured his mother, telling her about his signing an agreement with the Foundation. The false mother showed concern about this at first, but then expressed the hope that her son would soon be released, and they could get together again. This concerned the type of contract whereby the signatory becomes a Class D employee for a fixed term instead of a regular prison sentence. Following this conversation,
Yeah,
the
D-class
Foundation
don't live
sent
long.
Agent Washington to the residence of D-135's real mother. The agent had to find out what the mother was doing during the call. Parallel to this, Task Force Epsilon 3 was tasked with tracking down who was actually calling via SCP-2315. During the second call, the fake mother immediately informed Thomas that Agent Washington had come to see her and told her everything. According to SCP-2315-1, the agent told her that Thomas is now a D-class, who will simply be killed when the contract expires. The anomaly demonstrated knowledge of many anomalous objects, describing vividly what would happen to Thomas during experiments with various anomalies. Reference was made to SCP-2289, an anomalous strain of Tasmanian devil cancer that causes eye-like tumors to grow even in other species. It talked about the anomalous SCP-2657 spider, and the formation of a mask on Thomas's face after his contact with SCP-1903. The fake mother scared her son by further telling him of the SCP-217 clockwork virus.
Oh yeah, that's a shitty virus to get.
About which nothing is known outside the Foundation. Such awareness of the Foundation's internal affairs was rather disturbing to management. They even suspected Agent Washington of leaking information to D-135's biological mother. Thomas himself had no doubts concerning his mother's words, especially after she named Dr. Perry, who was leading the experiments with D-135. Naturally, after such words, the guy's attitude towards the Foundation employees changed, and he began to behave very aggressively. In turn, Washington stated that he had not taken his eyes off of Thomas's mother. At the time of the call, she had never approached the phone. There were no oddities in her behavior. To confirm Washington's words, the Foundation sent an additional employee to spy on the mother. Washington himself was removed from the mission.
No kidding.
D-135 was heavily sedated until he was taken away for the third call. During the third conversation, the voice from the phone stated that it had received all the information from Agent Washington. Moreover, the agent had allegedly told the mother that in the next cell over from Thomas's current location, there was an anomaly that devours human blood. In order to free himself, Thomas must break this anomaly out and lure it in with his own blood. The pseudo-mother provided detailed instructions on how to do this. She said
Coincidence?
that Thomas should put
I
his
think
hand
not.
on the corner of the table. Then he should chew on the cut with his teeth. Of course, Thomas didn't exactly like this idea and was not too eager to execute this plan. In response to this, the false mother began to wail for several minutes, reproach her son for not listening to her, and scare him with what was awaiting for the poor fellow within the walls of the Foundation. When the son finally
Shitty
agreed
SCP,
act,
to be
the
sure.
mother, in addition to everything else, demanded
Oh,
that he drop
fucking
the
hell,
picture
ads
on the wall
again.
with his own blood. Since
I'm
Mom
seriously
knows
getting
best,
annoyed at these
Thomas
ads.
listened to her. As D-135 tried to draw, he sobbed and held the phone to his ear with his right hand. This lasted a little over 5.5 minutes. Then, the exhausted and bloodless man fell to the floor unconscious. Over time, he recovered, but the psychological trauma remained with him for life. Thomas's real biological mother, by the way, was actually talking on the phone that day. Not with her son, though, but with Agent Washington. He had left her his number before he left the house. However, they did not discuss anything forbidden. Washington never said a word about the Foundation or any of the objects. The subject of their conversation was Thomas's criminal history, although the recording of their conversation had been damaged. The only thing that confirms Washington's words is the observation by the other secret agents. According to them, when the mother talked on the phone, she was calm. This contrasts greatly with SCP-2315-1's emotional state during the third phone conversation. The limits of finding the caller were reduced to just under 1,000 feet, or 300 meters from the biological mother. However, the object itself remained uncaptured. All of the anomalous voice's words were clearly manipulative. But the report of a blood-sucking object in the adjacent room caused concern. True, there was no containment cell nearby. There was only a storage room for office supplies, furniture, and various conference equipment. This place was checked for anomalies, but the agents found nothing suspicious. But there was something interesting across the wall with the pentagram. There was a small container with half a processor for an iPhone 6. Almost 1.5 ounces or 40 milliliters of an ethereal substance was found next to it, which smelled like Thomas's mother's favorite perfume. It was after this incident that Foundation personnel decided to designate the phone as Euclid and hide it away. However, this still did not stop Agent Washington's curiosity. Against all prohibitions, He himself entered the cell of the anomalous iPhone and answered the incoming call. The voice on the phone had him convinced for a long time that it was his mother. But the agent was persistent and adamant. He tried to find out from the voice what the motives behind its behavior were.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Following this incident, Washington voluntarily surrendered, was administratively punished, but soon returned to service without any charges against him. Curiously, the story didn't end there. 10 months later, Thomas's mother was diagnosed with a non-malignant brain tumor. After its removal, it turned out that the tumor was able to receive and transmit various signals. It seems that this tumor of unknown origin had made the calls. It had access to all the information from the mother's memory, and received data from the Foundation through the iPhone. It turns out that it was the techno-biological symbiotic organism at work. It's likely that when the SCP-2315 iPhone is left alone with a human, it scans the victim's genetic information and anomalously enters their mother's brain. But why does it even do this? Just to
For
aggravate
kicks.
the victim? Or to take
Probably.
advantage of them to bring some new anomaly into the world? Share
Probably.
your thoughts in the comments below.
Anyway, we'll pause it here because the video instantly goes to another third ad. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video of whatever I'll be making. So yeah, bye.